Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day, or evening, or night, depends on where you're watching this. So, today's video is going to be about a pattern change that I've advertised already for the past couple of days, and it seems like it's all coming together into one piece, so really we're starting to get good indications that, this is, we're getting good indications that this is actually going to happen, so that is why I'm bringing you this video about this pattern change. This consists of a lot of things, more precipitation or different precipitation setups than we've been having for the past couple of days and weeks. There'll also be much colder across the central part of the United States and warmer in other locations. So there's a lot to talk about. So if you would like to consider subscribing to this channel, I do all sorts of weather content, and it's gonna get more exciting as we go into say July, August, September. We'll start talking about the fall and winter. So in my opinion, that's pretty worth it. If you could subscribe, obviously it's worth it in my opinion, but see for yourself. Consider liking the video if you would like as well. If you're a returning viewer, helps out a lot. Let's get into the video. No more chitter chatter. So we are looking at 006, the GFS, and this is a global forecasting system model. It's the American model, known as I guess you could say the US model. Okay, and it's usually in competing with the European at the greatest. Those are the two biggest models. Let's look at it. So GFS, you can see it indicates a large area of precipitation right here across Minnesota, Iowa, currently developing as we speak. So if I were to show you the radar across the National Weather Service radar, you see there's some thunderstorms across Kansas, Nebraska, some rain in Iowa and Minnesota. And notice that this complex does die down, right? But it doesn't really just disappear. You can see Friday, some showers across the eastern United States. And notice, again, I made a video a couple days ago about this large storm that could be happening across the southern Canadian area. And if you were to pay attention, what I was saying is that this storm is going to kind of stay locked up there for a little bit because of all these precipitation bursts from the south. You can see it's right there. That's like the dying cyclone, and it has a lot of cold air wrapped around with it because of how strong it was. Now, this is a direct cause of all this precipitation here as well. It causes that lift in the atmosphere, kind of like that little trigger, if you will, that causes that precipitation to blow up in the first place from that moisture that is available by the Gulf of Mexico. Notice that as we push this forward, we see a lot of precipitation spreading into Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, and this low pressure is still kind of stuck up there, but look, it creates another low pressure right there across southern Canada. I guess UP of Michigan is really when it starts developing. And that one gets stuck again, I guess contributes to that cooler air riding down faster because low pressure spin counterclockwise, at least in the northern hemisphere they do. In the southern hemisphere it's opposite, but you can see there it is, and it's spinning winds sharply down to the south and west, down basically just straight south in some locations. And the cold air that is already up there, if you were to look at the anomalies, it's already, up there, and it's pretty impressive. So if you were to go back here, this basically just speeds up the process, and with that low pressure, this one moving out, it kind of even further spreads it out, and we just get a really nice cool wave of colder air. It's not going to be cold, it's June, one of the warmest times of the year. Okay, I guess the first week of July is when it's technically the warmest. Okay, but it's just gonna be more of a relief than a threat. So you can see that it's just spinning right there, that big lobe. We have some scattered showers, but notice how it clears out mainly. For a couple of days we see less precipitation, maybe a little bit of scattered showers, that's about it. But then we see more precipitation on the way, and that's kind of a second pattern. You can see it's just starting to develop, like more storms, more heavy precipitation. You can see right there, more chances of precip. So I know that it's been pretty dry across the United States, depending obviously where you live. If you lived in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, South Carolina, into eastern Virginia, then you know that it's very wet there. It's been very wet, and it will continue to be pretty wet, probably, especially since all these storms are going to be coming through. The Midwest has been dry. That's the place where it has been dry, and it's gonna get wet pretty quickly, which I guess is a good thing. They need water for the crops, but too much of a good thing again is a bad thing. So let's take a look at at the temperatures now, the 2 meter temperature anomalies. So I showed you I guess the temperature setup based on the mean sea level pressure, which gives us a good indication. But this is just easier to see. And if you were to look, you can see there's warm air out in southern Canada and into the northern Great Lakes and into parts of the northeast. But you can see that these low pressures kind of keep that up locked up there. We have these thunderstorm complexes, which, as you can see, marked by those blow up in blue temperatures. That always brings thunderstorms bring cold air because they tap into the high elevations of the atmosphere, and that kind of brings it down when the wind blows. That's why it gets cool after a thunderstorm. And notice that, look at that. We just see absolute unleashment of very chilly air. And at the beginning of the forecasting period, maybe a week ago, when we were starting to see indications of this cool down, it was much smaller. Now it seems to have grown, and more models have agreed with it. So you can see Tuesday of next week is just going to be downright chilly. It's not going to be cold, but it's more. I was saying that's going to be a relief from the heat, but in some locations it could be just chilly. A chilly chilly late June day. And if you were to look at this definitely does, after a while, kind of I guess fall apart. But we see another strong system, as I mentioned earlier, across southern Canada develop at this time, and this kind of sends a second wave. You can see right there, a little second wave across the Great Lakes. But then it starts warming up, and we see more of a warm pattern. But definitely this cool off will be noticeable, and that's again brought to you by the big storms and active pattern regime that is gonna start, I guess, firing up across the eastern United States. Let's look at some of the precip, because that's going to be pretty impressive. Let's just take it through all 384 hours, and let's see what the GFS shows in terms of total accumulated precipitation. You can see that's a lot of precipitation. I mean, here in Chicago, I take Chicago as an example because I live here, so I know what the weather has been like, way more than any other place. So if you were to take the last week and a half, maybe, we haven't had rain. We've had pretty much absolutely not even a tenth of an inch of rain. Okay, so seeing, according to this, almost 6 inches of rain, 5 to 6 inches of rain within a week or two, it would be a little bit concerning, as that could, the ground is kind of dry. If you were to look in most areas, it's cracked, it's dry, it's really tough the water just flows off if you were to pour on it, so that could lead to some flash flooding. A few areas where it's a little bit drier, there's a few areas where it's just a little bit wetter, but that's tough to predict to the exact point because you don't know where the thunderstorms are going to set up. Unfortunately, the GFS doesn't know exactly where the thunderstorms are going to set up at this far out. The day of a thunderstorm outbreak, we don't know. We still don't have that technology available, and we probably won't for a while, as that they're just so unpredictable. So you notice that it's a lot of precip. Now let's look at the ensembles, which isn't just one model. It's a bunch of models combined. You can see it's more an average. So you can see maybe some of the GFS-like models are showing a drier a drier scenario. Some of them are showing a wetter scenario. The GFS being a wetter scenario. As you can see, this is kind of like the averaged out. A generous area of the eastern United States where it's just 2 inches and above, and 2 inches is quite a bit of rain if it could fall at a quick enough time. So let's look at the precipitation anomalies and let's see what that shows us. Okay, so you can see that it's generally going to be wet across a good portion of the country. You can see across the east into the mid-Atlantic and into the Iowa, Missouri, just the Midwest, and into even parts of southern U.S. Just by the Gulf Coast, it will be below average. It will be a little bit drier. So that is definitely something we'll have to watch for, as it will be pretty warm there and dry, so it's definitely not good news. But notice that the above average precip kind of maintains itself across the northern United States, and really the only area with below average precipitation is the south. So they usually have a very rainy season at this point. June, July, they see lots of thunderstorms. They may be getting a break from that. A good thing, I guess, but they're going to be seeing warm temperatures. And that's definitely not a good thing when you combine those two. That's like combining gasoline and fire. They're gonna work very well together, and quite literally, it's gonna be like gasoline and fire down there. If there could be lots of bush fires, forest fires. So we've already seen a problem like that in Florida. There was a time period where it's drier. They got a little bit of rain today, but it's gonna maintain its dryness over there for the most part. Let's look at the European model now. Let's take a look at this and see what it's showing. So in terms of the cold air, it's definitely showing it. You can see right there that cool air mass, a little bit reserved, more reserved than the GFS. But the thing is that the European has been kind of, I guess, more reluctant to show the cold air, but it's been slowly, I guess, adjusting with the GFS. It's been slowly showing what the GFS is showing. So it's kind of leaning towards the GFS scenario. You can see the west is going to be pretty warm, the east is going to be pretty warm, the south is going to be warm, and after that you can see the cold air just breaks apart. And in terms of precip, I want to show you the European rain/thunder, rain accumulation. And if you were to look at this, the next 10 days, you can see there's quite a bit of rain. And this is above average, especially across a few locations over here. You can see 5-4 inches. The south, again, mainly dry, possibly wetter across Houston, maybe to do with some sort of tropical disturbance. But generally, a wetter scenario. And this is only 10 days. So, you know, if you got 10 days of 8 inch of rain in 10 days, that's around average, a little bit above average. But if you were to get, 3 inches in 10 days, that's significantly above average. So definitely something to, I guess, keep an eye out for. The above average precipitation, the cooler air, and this just whole unique setup. So I'll be catching you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.